Assalamu alaikum, wonderful viewers. Welcome to the Poetry Slam show here on Eco TV International, the People's Choice, where we celebrate the power of words, the beauty of expression, and the art of poetry. I am your host, Rifatu Ture, and every week we invite talented poets to come and showcase their art of talent and their work. And today here with me is one of the best in the country, and he will introduce himself shortly. But before that, you can kindly follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Sponsors are also invited. You can call on the various numbers on the screen to sponsor this program. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the show.
Alaikum salam. Okay, assalamu alaikum to you all. My name is Musa A.C. Soho, known as the logical intellect poet inspired by wisdom, a current graduate, and yeah.
Okay, as you can see, the name is really interesting.
Yeah.
Inspired by wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay, what came about? How does this name came about?
Okay, this name came about because I was inspired by certain people, and through being inspired by them, I realized these people possess wisdom. Okay. So I said, like, I just want to be like these people because they've inspired me a lot. Like people like Zakir Naik, Muhammad Oblus, you have Navid, who is a spoken word poet, and you have Muslim Bilal also, who is a spoken word poet, and they really inspired me, and through it I get to, name myself after, because I believe that I'm inspired by wisdom.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay, the name is nice too.
Yeah.
All right. And what also inspired you to become a poet?
Okay, what inspired me at first to become a poet was through inspiration as well. Okay, I see people speaking freely their mind, and I was like, wow, these people are amazing. So, through that I said, like, I just want to be like them as well. So from there, I built the love for poetry. First, I wasn't writing my own poems. Yeah, during my primary time, I was, just taking the pieces of my people who inspired me, though.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
yes,
so I just write it, and while they are talking, I will just write it. Okay. So at the end of the day, I will just master it, and then just recite it. And then, so as time goes on in my grade 7, I began to say, yeah, I think these people have brains that have led them to write these things. I think I can also embark on the same journey, and through that, I began to make these artists, and I try to develop my writing skills to this day.
Okay, and how did you discover your unique voice as a poet? Was it a sudden realization or a process?
Yeah, I've always believed in myself. I can say my classmates have always believed in me than myself, in fact.
Okay.
I was surrounded by, amazing classmates who always want to see me in front of the class whenever there is no teacher or whenever we have assembly. So through it, I began to develop myself. At the end of the day, what I do is just try to revise as much as I can and to develop myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what does poetry mean to you? And how has that meaning evolved over time?
Poetry means the world to me. Okay. To me, poetry is life. To me, poetry is about being creative, expressing yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, and also, trying to inspire people and impact change as well through advocating for what is right and desisting people away from what is wrong. Okay,
and does your poems make impact in the community?
Yeah, I believe my poems have made impact because whenever I release a poem, I get a lot of comments about how they have been moved about my poem, So basically, I get new numbers always, trying to acknowledge my work as well, which makes me feel great. Though we are doing it, we are not having anything in it, but then we are doing it to inspire, to impact, and to, have a voice and to speak for the voiceless as well. So I think it's amazing, and I believe that my poetry has an impact based on the testimonies of people who have been inspired by my poetry.
Okay, so does it generate income for you?
I wouldn't say my poetry generates income for me, but at certain point, sometimes when you are invited in certain gatherings, when you have to go, at least they dash you something. But then like going to like interviews or stuff like that, or going to fill up poetry albums, no, you just do it for the love, you just do it to support and stuff like that, but you never receive anything. The only time you receive anything is when this is World Book Day, sometimes some things like that, and they invite you. Hopefully they will give you your fare and, get to thank you as well.
Yeah, okay. And what are some of the major challenges that you faced in the industry?
I would say the major challenges I face is the biasness, the lack of unity, and also, financial restraint, because To record your poem on phones does not give it the base and the quality it deserves for the message to be felt in the way that it is supposed to be felt. So I would say the challenges are there, like fellow poets are not united. They only focus on one side and leave the other side. Sometimes fellow poets will send you their flyers, you share them. When you send them yours, they just view it and pass by, which create some kind of like tension and envy as well, which create also disunity. So I think it is important that as poets, it's a small industry though, we come together as one people, support one another, and I think that will move us all forward. But if we continue the same way, then everybody is just saying, yeah, I'm the big man here. No, we have a lot of quack poets though. Yeah.
Okay, and also, is there competition in the industry? And if there is, are you also competing?
Okay, like I would say, there is people who there are so-called people who call themselves the kings of poetry. Yeah, I would say.
So to you, it means that they are not kings.
I admit that they are not king, honestly speaking, because for me, I am a poet. I don't make researches. I understand most of their poems are written by AI. So next time, don't call yourself a king. And just to clarify something here is, a poet is somebody who writes a poem, okay? So you cannot ask AI to write a poem for you and you call yourself a poet. Like for example, there is an imam today, he is sick he is sick, and then they ask me to lead, doesn't make me an imam. So I'm just leading. But it doesn't make me an imam. So they are just reciters, they are not poets.
Okay, so you are a poet? Yeah,
I believe I'm a poet because I write my own poems. I would probably say that nobody has ever mentored me, or nobody in my teachers or any other poet has ever written a poem for me. I've always written my own poems, and I'm proud to say that.
Fine. And can you walk us through your creative process, and how do you form an idea to a poem?
How do I form an idea is, for example, I want to talk about Pan-Africanism, okay? So I believe Pan-Africanism is an ideology that is so much powerful if inculcated in all Gambians or all Africans will rise Africa high above skies. So basically, before I write a poem, I think about the title, the theme I want to base the poem on, and also the mood and the tone which I want to work on. So these are the kind of ideas I brainstorm before writing any poem.
Oh, okay. And do you have any rituals or habits that help you to get into the mood of writing?
Yeah, basically sleepless nights. I'm not used to like always sleeping at night. So for me, I find inspiration to write during night times or daytimes when I see something that hasn't gone on my way, or I just feel otherwise, and that's the time I write, daytime and nighttime.
Okay. Yeah. So don't you get disturbance from others like during the day? When you
that is a challenge. Like sometimes you want to write and then there are a lot of disturbance in poetry. When you have to write, you have to make sure that the environment is smooth and calm and gentle. So through that environment, you can be able to brainstorm more ideas, more wisdom in your write-ups.
Don't you walk around the beach? Because many tend to get ideas when they walk around the beach.
Yeah, like I do go to the beach, but not always.
Okay.
And I think I haven't started, going to the beach to, like brainstorm, but I've planned it though, but I haven't started going. But then the time that I can brainstorm more ideas is at night, during night time when everybody is silent. Quiet, at that time I'm just, thinking. Yeah. Yeah.
Good. And do you edit your poems heavily, or do you prefer to keep them in the initial flow?
Okay, like my poems, when I write a poem, sometimes I do write a poem without even bothering to edit it because I believe it's cool. But then sometimes I write a poem, I said, yeah, it's cool, but then I'm not comfortable with it like I would want it to be. So I will just park it aside, and the next day I will just try to refine it. Because as a poet, when you write something, you don't just release it like that. You have to make sure you refine your work, you revise, and through that you can be able to get the message that will make you feel comfortable and that can inspire people as well.
And how do you handle a writer's block or moments when words don't seem to flow? Like when you are writing and things don't seem to come.
Yeah, that happens sometimes when you want to write something and then, thoughts are just, not going on your way. So what you do is you just park and then relax your brain, drink some water, and then just wait for 30 minutes, 1 hour, you can start up. Something might come up. But then the advice I would give to every writer out there is when you are writing and nothing is coming out, just park the book and your pen. Later you come onto it. It will flow.
And normally, how long does it take you to write a poem?
It depends on the poem. Like, for example, we have like poems, 5 stanzas, 10 stanzas, 15 stanzas, 20 stanzas. So, for example, I would say my poem to write it takes me like 15 minutes, 30 minutes to write a poem. But then through the refining it and revising it takes like 1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah, but then to write a poem like 15 minutes, I can write a poem like 10 stanzas, 15 stanzas. Yeah.
Seriously?
Like for example, I just want to talk about the government. I'm a very anti-corruption in state. Yeah, I'm anti-corruption in state because of the corruption that is going around in this country. I can just stand here, write a poem immediately, within 15 minutes.
Can you look at me?
Yeah.
And write a poem?
Can I look at you?
Yeah, just take a look at me, or I may be doing something, you just take a look at me, observe, and write a poem about?
Like, I should just look at you and speak off head about a poem, right? Yeah, probably.
You can do it?
I can do it, but I wouldn't say it will satisfy you or me, but then I can do it.
Can give it a try?
I give it a try.
Okay, then I'm looking forward to it.
Inshallah. I normally do it in my page, in my poetry page. Like, for example, I would say, today I'm in the mood, though it depends on the mood, okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say I'm in the mood, give me any title, I will just voice it out immediately. And then my page members can attest to that. Like, I have like 600 members in my page. They can attest to that. Like, sometimes I just come, give the title, and I'm not gonna say it's gonna be the best, like if I sit and think and write, but then it do sounds amazing.
Bahna.
Yeah.
All of you know bahna.
Yeah.
And what themes or subject do you find yourself returning to in your poetry? And why do you think they resonate with you?
Okay, the themes I think I explore more is about justice, about humanity, about morality, and about values as well. So these are the themes I explore more. Why do I explore them? Because I believe to adopt into these values and these themes, we can make the society better. Okay, so my poetry is more focused on the morality side, the value side, and then humanity, justice side, and also being an anti-systematic mentally enslavement. Yeah, so that's it.
All right. And is there a particular poem of yours that holds special significance to you? If there is, can you share the story with us?
Okay, I would say the poem about Yahya Jammeh.
Yahya Jammeh.
Yeah.
Okay, why though?
I understand that they say democracy is freedom of speech, but when we come to certain people talking about them, it's like your freedom of speech is cage. Okay. And I think that is a threat to democracy. Since they say we should embrace this system, which is not good for Africa, then I'm not saying like democracy itself, but I think we should build our own democracy than the Western democracy. So here is the poem that sounds more reasonable to man. The one that I feel the most is the poem about Yahya Jammeh, because it speaks about emotions. We understand that nobody is saying Yahya is perfect. He has done 1 or 2 mistakes, like you and I. We make mistakes. We are human. We fault in nature. But then to say that we shouldn't say the good things about what he has done, and also the great development he has brought to this country, is a threat to democracy. So that is why I voiced my voice out to write a poem about Yahya Jammeh. So when I wrote it, the feedbacks were positive and negative. At the end of the day, one of my mentees, I gave her the poem to recite. She went to the school gathering and recited the poem, and then most of the people were like threatening her, like, why are you reciting such a poem? You shouldn't recite such a poem in the gathering. Okay, who wrote this poem for you? Stuff like that. She was scared. She's a fuller. Fullers, they are tappets. Yeah. She was scared, and then she called me and tell me about it. Like, I was like, so I said, so are we no longer living in democracy? Are we no longer? So this poem really is something that every time I listen to it, and the poem about death as well, when I am gone, it's a poem. Yeah, when I am gone, it's a poem that is spoke based on experience, based on reality and based on empathy and sympathy for man in nature.
Okay, now can you please recite that poem for us, the one you've written for Yahya Jammeh?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, okay, share it,
yeah. I wrote 3 poems for him, but I'll go with this one.
Okay, the one that you like the most.
Yeah.
Recite that one.
Okay. Gambians, blinded by pride and delusion, flimsy claims, they assert lies, they fabricate they assert him to be what he is not, under blind, believe their propaganda. He was condemned by unfounded notion, but yet the motion was embraced by the people he was willing to die for. A true leader who devoted his time, life, and dreams to prosper this nation, but dehumanized by aliens of a so-called democratic cause, being used as a tool to tarnish and destroy his image. Gambians, can't you see, don't you see, when will you see? For ideological intellect, poet inspired by wisdom, I have seen. That is why I am testifying, clarifying, and identifying the truth and nothing but the truth. Yahya was a true son of Africa who fought against white supremacism, corruption, tyranny, and injustice throughout his leadership. His legacy has always been to fight for his people with love and commitment. His contributions towards national development was immense and unmatched. His religious standard was courageous and outrageously religious. His devote and struggle to prosper this nation was a call for action. His affection and dedication to awaken the mama land from slumber was a love of patriotic spirit instilled in him by the love he has for the continent. So now tell me, how possible could he be guilty of all the crimes attributed to him by liars and aliens of a hidden source propagating his faulty image unjustly? But one thing for certain is that our love will continue to rise for him because he is worth our accolade. No matter how you inside Pentimas, the king devil, call him the heinous dictator, murderer, and a killer, the fact remains that his love remains in our hearts as one of the greatest leaders of Africa to ever exist. The Europeans, you know, they preach democracy, but they do not practice what they preach. They imitate, but they do not imitate what they dictate. So Gambians, open your eyes. It is high time to realize the reality. You see, their malady, our remedy, our solution becomes their problem, our progress, their worry, our success, their worst nightmare. That is why they couldn't stand Ndabili Mansa, a true lion to Africa's struggle. His quest for total freedom and unity was what worried the future leaders of hell. So they began to plot against him, turn his people against his leadership, call him a murderer, a dictator. Then the fools believe their propaganda, the obsession that has always wanted to cage Africans as slaves, but nonetheless, we are still enslaved mentally because, know it or not, like it or not, Africa is still going through a trauma of mental slavery. But Mansa Yahya noticed, his ambition was to liberate, his dream was to unite, his aim was to ignite the spirit of patriotism, Pan-Africanism. He embraced heroism, he symbolized nationalism embedded in his DNA. So when I say, Yahya, I love you for who you are and for what you stand for, I really mean it with all of me. So let me stop here.
No, it's nice, it is nice.
Yeah.
And how do you feel after reciting this poem?
Like, I'm feeling great right now, honestly speaking. Because I feel like poetry is a tool where we can, share our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, our things. These are my thoughts, these are my emotions, these are my feelings. You know, somebody else might have another idea to defend or to go against my point of view. It's okay. We cannot all agree on one thing, but one thing for certain is that it is obliged on us as poets to come out and speak about the truth, okay? Whatever I've said here is something that I've, make research on, okay? At first, I was a staunch hater of Yahya because of the rumors I was hearing. I'm not saying Yahya hasn't done one or two things that are bad, but all I'm saying is that I was a staunch hater of Yahya Jammeh. But as I began to read Africanist history and began to learn about Pan-Africanism, then I realized that a lot were said by the man, which were a propaganda by Western imperialists who pay some of our good-for-nothing journalists to tarnish our great leaders' image. Yeah, so like Muammar Gaddafi, they call him a dictator. He was zero debted. Like, imagine, America is even debted in billions. So Gaddafi was zero debted. He made sure that he contributed to Africa's growth. He was advocating for one currency. He was advocating for United Africa. But at the end of the day, what did they say? They said he was maltreating his people. He was a dictator, this and that, that and that. America went to Iraq and killed millions of people. America went to Vietnam and killed thousands of people. America went to Afghanistan and killed thousands of people. Are they not dictators? What what gives them that right to come and invade countries based on they are not having the same ideology with them or the same thinking style, okay? So I think Africa is time that we wake up, we embrace Pan-Africanism so as to
okay, so that's
wake
what
up from the
changed your
darkness.
mindset.
Yeah, that is what changed my mindset, yeah, to write this poem about him, because I believe that a lot of things were said about him that were not true, and I think it is right time we come out and speak about it. I don't care what whoever thinks, but this is what I think, this is what I feel, this is what I see.
Okay, and the comments that you get, you said some of them are positive and some of them are negative.
Yeah.
So how do you handle the negative ones?
Okay, first of all, I tell you, like, it's like I'm an advocate for Yahya.
Okay.
Okay, so like for example, when you come up and tell me this and that, so I invite you, let's have a talk. Let's have a talk. I'll try my level best to convince you, and to it I've convinced many people who have gone against the poem and, you know, he has done this and that, but I've make them realize what I've realized through making researches, because they say the best way to hide something from Africans is to write it, and because, yeah, because Africans, we don't read. And
you don't like reading?
Yeah.
All right. So, do you draw inspiration from personal experiences, or do you draw it from the perspective of others?
Okay, I draw it from both. Like, for example, when I draw inspiration from my personal experience, feelings, and emotions, I base my poem on a lyrical poetry, which is about expressing your personal feelings and ideas. Okay, so about certain people, I base it on narrative poetry. Okay, like certain poems I do talk about leaders or situations, which I'm doing narrative poetry, and through that I find inspiration to narrating others people problems or anything related to other things, you know, through my poetry as well.
All right. And in your opinion, what role does poetry play in today's society, and how do you see it impacting people's lives?
I think poetry plays a big role in society. Okay, when God talks about poetry and dedicated a full surah about poetry, it tells you that poetry is so much important than music, than anything. Okay, related to entertainment and stuff like that. Okay, but then I see poetry making impact, poetry changing lives. I see poetry inspiring people. I see poetry making certain people change their ways because they were inspired by words. Words through poetry, because poetry allows you to dig deep and to be creative in the way you articulate your lines, your verses, your meters, your stanzas, and etc. So I think poetry has played a pivotal role in, you know, grooming society towards the right track.
Okay, and do you also believe that poetry has the power to bring about political and social change in the country?
Yes, I believe poetry has that power. Like, for example, if all poets were to come together and with one voice and say, yeah, we understand that corruption is rampant, and because of this, the pillars of our nations are shaking, they are crumbling. So why not we come together and advocate for what is right and advocate for change, like I am about to do with my poetry album, Gambia's Times of Change. I think if we come together with one voice and started voicing our voices out against the ills of any political agenda, any political ideology, or any political party which has a very bad attitude towards the nation, towards like the corruption that is happening right now, I think poetry can do a lot of change, because many people are not aware. So through poetry, people can be aware. Yeah.
Okay, and also, have you ever collaborated with an artist?
Yeah, I haven't collaborated with an artist yet. Yeah,
why so? Don't you have the chance? Oh,
it's not like I don't have the chance. I have never tried it. So I have never tried it, and I don't think I will ever try it. But if push comes to shove, I'll take the opportunity. But for me to say now, I'm going to, you know, approach this artist for us to do a collab. Yeah, I'm not saying it's wrong or anything like that. People have different opinions, but this is just my opinions. If an artist wants that, yeah, we can do it based on what I believed in, okay? Based on titles that can inspire people, that can bring about change, that can impact lives, and that can uplift society as well. But if it does not fit this curriculum, yeah,
you're out of it.
I'm out of it.
Even if you are offered $2 million. This is money. And it's hard.
Yeah. So I was like, for example, it depends. It depends. Like for example, you can offer 2 million to promote something like sorry to say this, but pornography. Okay, something. You can be offered 2 million to promote lesbianism. You can be offered 2 million to promote transgender. So are you gonna do it? I'm asking you. Are you gonna do it? Yeah.
No. Question don't answer question.
Yeah, I understand. A question does not answer a question. Yeah. But I'm just putting this to you so that you understand. Like sometimes. Yeah, I do understand. I do understand. Yeah, sometimes, just answer my question. Yeah. Just answer my question. I'm gonna answer your question. Will you go for it? Will you go for it? Yeah. So I understand. I understand. But then some questions are not meant to be answered directly. So if I answer directly, it might bring about controversy. Some people might have, like. No, it is just an opinion. Yeah, I understand. That is why I'm giving you this example so that you understand that. I totally understand. Just answer my question. No. You're not gonna answer that. No. About if it is about lesbianism, gay and stuff like that, those kind of stuff, like no. No, but I'm not talking about that one directly. I mean like music. An artist approach you for a collaboration, but you mentioned some of the things that if they fall under that curriculum, you will do it. Yeah. But if it doesn't fall under those curriculums, you won't do it. I said, and now, if the artist offered you money, would you take the offer? At the first place, I know no artist will offer me money. I know that for sure. Logically speaking, no artist will offer the logical intellect poet inspired by wisdom wanting to do a collab. But if push comes to shove, I don't think I will advocate for such agendas unless and until it is about improving lives, until and unless it is about uplifting, until and unless it is about impacting society, until and unless it is about advocating for what is right and desisting away from what is wrong. Then and only will I do it. Like for example, we understand that artists are different. If Antus come to me and said, logical, let us do this, I will surely do it, because I believe, though I'm not a fan of music, but I believe Antu is doing something amazing in the music industry. Like he is speaking for the voiceless, and he is impacting many lives as well. Unlike other artists who are talking about indecent things like Stargirl and Full Gangster and like Gino King in Abu Coast, where I'm from. So like those kind of artists, they must be excluded. And so that's my point. Like artists like ST for XT also is just now that he is doing all other stuff. But before he was like advocating for against corruption and for equality, advocating for women as well and stuff like that, and Anto as well. So I believe, and Umaro as well, like one of his music was about rape, and then it really touches me, honestly speaking, because he was speaking sense. He was speaking, based on experience, like people going through a lot of stuff. Like those kind of things, I would jump onto it, but beside that, no. All right. So now, if you could have a conversation with any poet, living or dead, who would it be? Living or dead, who will it be? Yes. First, Shakespeare. Shakespeare. Yeah, and second is going to be Muslim Bilal. He's alive. Bilal, yeah, I know that guy. Yeah, Muslim Bilal inspired me a lot, honestly speaking, and Navid Muhammad as well. These people, like, it's a dream come true if I'm to face them and get to speak to them and tell them, how inspired, how they've inspired me and how they've changed my ways, my thinking style and stuff like that. Yeah, they've really inspired me. Okay, and we are running out of time right now. Yeah. Can you please recite one of your favorite poems for us before we leave? Okay, before we leave. Okay, before that, can I, like, for example, understand that I'm on the verge of launching a poetry album, right? Okay. Yeah, which is Gambia's Time to Change. It's going to be scheduled on the 27th of June 2025 at Abugo School Hall. And I'm inviting all Gambians to come and grace the occasion. Inshallah, everybody will come. Yeah, because you're going to 27 June, right? Yeah, 27 June. Because you are going to learn a lot about, Gambia and why we need to change. It is time, because this nation pillars are crumbling, they are shaking, and we need voices to make sure that these pillars stand firm. Gambia does not belong to one party to plunder our resources and stuff like that, but then as youths of this country, we have a huge responsibility on our back to speak for what is right and go against every ill that our leaders are doing. And I think right now is the time for Gambia to change. And I'm advocating for Gambia to change, not only the government, but us as people. So come and grace the occasion at Abuko School Hall, June 27 is the date. And from there, I will recite this piece. It's from the album though, but I'm not going to recite all. Yeah, just to recite a part. Okay. I see broken homes all over this country, scattered like a debris. To be repaired is a dream that does not sound appeared. We plea and appeal to seal the holes that expose our vulnerability, but their ability holds no dignity to remedy the adversity because they lack humanity. A nation teachers ready to fall like a faulty aeroplane, no hope at all. The fact no carb, the truth no lie. Our hospitals have become graveyards for the poor, for the weak, for the vulnerable, where mothers die and no one cares. Emergency fade, urgency dies, immorality thrives where dignity lives. The life we enjoyed, the rule we obey, a government that leads us astray. If only they worship God as they worship corruption, if only they cared for the people in need, to plant a seed of hope, to feed, of deed, to lead righteously. Only then could we thrive, rebuild and restore. A nation once proud, now broken to the core. A cure we need, a leader we seek, a bit we hope will grow seedlings to heed the cries of the mass in need. How absurd it sounds when leaders build walls to max the what, covering the sins of the willing lot. You know, they talk a lot while the citizens suffer the what. Reason with me, Gambians. The nation crumbles on the soaring prices, and the living crisis tighten its vices. Heart-wrenching scenes of 1 meal a day, the poor left hopeless. Their dreams swept away like a flood flooding Bangladesh. In this country, suffering feels like a crime. To be Gambian is to be a betrayal's crime. Corruption, 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 like a witch choking the life out of Mother Gambia. A witch they've planted with their own hands. Leaders who dare to care in agony we chant and be. This year they put us through the hardships we face in fear. The system a friend to poverty. When will Gambia smile?
Yeah, you really deserve your name, inspired by wisdom.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right, and what do you have for your fans out there?
Yeah, I'm gonna say expect a lot from the logical intellect poet inspired by wisdom. That day you are going to be experiencing pure poetry. We understand from other poetry albums that when we go, we kind of like get more of entertainment than poetry. So when we say it's poetry album, it must have to be centered on poetry, pure poetry, for that matter. So I'm going to tell you guys that on that night, it's going to be a night of pure poetry. It's going to be a night where Gambians will be educated, wisdom will be harvested as well. And inshallah, you're going to be inspired because we say Gambia is time to change. If you are not suffering and you're not feeling the pain, don't come. Because I believe that everybody is suffering in this country.
Only people who resonate should come.
Only the fullest are enjoying. Only the fullest. So we all are suffering.
Come for you.
So if you believe you are suffering, and if you believe your voice has been silenced, if you believe that you have been failed, you have been promised and failed by leaders who care for their pockets than the mass in need, that is why I said the mass in need to plant a seed of hope, to feed, of deed, to lead righteously. Okay, so come and grace this occasion at Abuko School Hall. It's about Gambian things. Let's come out and support. And if you want to support the album or get in contact with me, you can dial the following numbers: 4072340, 4072340, 6790849, The Logical Poet is coming with difference. Come and experience something great.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's a pleasure having you here. Well, this is how we've come to the end of the program.
Sorry. I think you've said, like, if I have anything to say at the ending.
To your fans?
Yeah.
You've said that already.
Like, I want to talk to my fellow poets as well.
Okay, all right. You have a message for them, right?
Yeah, I have a message for them.
Yet. Okay.
So all my fellow poets.
All right.
Okay, I know your back is heavy, but try to outlift that burden on your back. The poetry industry is not a big industry. And if you sit on your comfort zone and say, you know, I'm not going to be there for him or for her while she has been there for you and he has been there for you, then you must be very selfish. And all I'm trying to say is, let's come together as one people. Let us, you know, fight for one another. Let us support one another. It is the only way our voices can be heard to the extent of where the music industry is at. So drop the ego, drop the burden. Let's come together as one people. That is what I have.
All right. I hope they hear your message.
Yeah.
All right. And he.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. This is how we've come to the end of the program. Till next week, inshallah. And like he said, 27 June is the day. Come and see how he play with words. See wisdom, everything, inshallah. That day, nothing's gonna be easy. And I hope you invite Eco TV International there too.
Of course, you guys are highly invited. Highly invited. Okay. We will be amazed to receive you guys there as well.
All right.
Special VIP treatment.
VIP.
But if you have fullers within you guys, she is excluded or he is excluded. Yeah.
We have fullers.
You have fullers. Yeah. So all of you are invited. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Till next week, inshallah. Love you all. And this is Eco TV International, the people's choice. You can kindly follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Sponsors are also invited. Till next week. Bye bye.